course you want to be a champion. Of course you want to be working towards winning titles.
Be happy, but never satisfied.
Better than ever. And we're live. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, Ultimate fans across the country and across the world to this junior women's quarterfinal action live from Surrey, British Columbia. I'm going to do a land acknowledgement here before we get going here. We're appreciative and we acknowledge that we're on the unceded territory of the Semiahmoo, Katzie, Kwantlen, Kwekwitlam, Kaikite, and Tsawwassen First Nations. I'd like to acknowledge that these are the lands that we work, live, and play on. Today, we have a quarterfinal matchup, a rematch from a game on day one between Nitro and Origine. I'm Kevin Underhill bringing you this action, and my esteemed colleague, friend, and fellow UVic alum, Danny Proby, in the booth with me here for this game. Danny, give us the intro summary of what you're expecting out of this game today.
Well, first of all, we love rematches because both of these teams have had a very similar path. They are in the same pool. And so they've already seen each other, as you mentioned earlier, and the game was decided by 1, with Origine just taking it. I believe this final score ended up being 9-8. So we know this is going to be a good game. We know that these teams have been battling to get back to this place, and it is hard to beat a team twice. And I don't know about you, Kev, but I personally like being a little bit of the underdog. Like, that makes me feel a little bit comfortable and motivated. What I know, you're usually playing on teams that are the heavy favorites. So do you have a perspective? What is your preference?
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, yesterday is the only game that really feels like it has any impact on this. They have largely very similar results in their pool and their crossovers. And yet here they are in this matchup where it's the 3 versus the 2 from Pool A. So really, you can throw all results out because now we're in the quarterfinals, and all it is win and advance. So both teams, I would say, are probably just 100% focused on today's game, and yesterday's game is as far back as you can possibly think, because I'm not convinced that a 1-goal universe point makes anyone a favorite or a dog in this game. And so I think this is as level as we can possibly expect out of a quarterfinal. We're thrilled and excited to bring you this action.
Now, I know that we've already streamed Origine, and I love their playing style. They move the disc quickly. They play a lot of small-sided Ultimate in Quebec. And I know that this Nitro teams, they work on their fundamentals as well. This is a pretty new team. I know that the Prime Ultimate Club is new in general, but a lot of these players, or at least the coaches, transferred over from Mischief last year, who ended up being in semifinals at Nationals. But I think there's only around 3 returning players from that squad here. So for a lot of people, it's not only their first Nationals, but it's their first time being live streamed. So we hear the horn there, so we are about ready to kick off this game.
Here we go. We have Nitro in white, Origine in dark blue. Nitro set to pull in white. Huge crowd here on hand at the Newton Athletic Park for this junior women's quarterfinal. And right off the bat, we have what looks like an offside call, but then it's not actually recognized by Origine. And here they go to start things off. Disc in the hands of number 77, Maeva Breton. Breton, right through, right away to Emon. Emon looking upfield. Lesard. Lessard fighting through this zone, and it's immediately blocked there. Number 14, Grace Paley in the middle of the zone there, just gets a paw on that one, knocks it out of the way. And an immediate hand block back there by Breton. Dueling hand blocks to kickstart this game, Danny, as Nitro tries to set up their zone. Instead, it's Breton with it, and Breton goes little air bouncy backhand, and it's knocked away right away. High energy start to this quarterfinal by Nitro. 2 impressive blocks there.
That was Isabel Lynn with a block and an immediate hand block again.
Breton gets another hand block. Action-packed start to this game as there's been 2 hand blocks, and now one goes over the top, and Origine cashes in there. Number 16, Juliette Amond on the receiving end of that, and it is 1-0 Origine. Danny, action first point, layout blocks, and 3 hand blocks to boot as Origine cashes in the first point.
Like, if you could see my face right now, I am in disbelief. Even the observers here are in disbelief. That was insane. Okay, so we're definitely sensing some nerves, but a ton of excitement. So people are willing to already put their bodies on the line, but we're feeling a little bit nervous with the disc. We're feeling a little bit of the pressure, and we're maybe not faking as much as we normally would to get that throw to be open. But wow, if this first point is any kind of indication how this game is going to go, it's going to be electric.
Yeah, exciting start to this one, making the crowd pretty happy with 3 exceptional blocks on that point. Just pure action, honestly. And we saw Nitro, they pulled and they came down in a zone. And then when Origine got the disc back, they actually weren't able to reset up in that zone. And so I wonder if it's going to be a strategy for Nitro to employ zone early in this game, try to get Origine to move the disc and see what they're dealing with as far as personnel, handlers, and cutters, where everyone's located. I would say wind, definitely a factor, but not extremely heavy here. So you even saw a few passes there being affected by the wind. But at the end of the day, I don't think the wind is going to determine win-loss in this game.
Absolutely not. And I do want to shout out that layout block by Isabel Lynn again. I did hear from a little birdie that she's going to be going to UBC. So hopefully she'll be a Thunderbird this season.
A UBC commit. Nitro offense now on the field, running against a bit of a cup here. Number 12, Kieran Ferguson, straight up the field, just out of the hands there of Rachel Hovstad. And Origine takes over with a chance to get the first break of the game. Lila Henrique looking upfield. Nice undercut, right on the money there. That's Barriere. Barriere upfield. Looks into the end zone. That one's going to hang and knocked away. Had a good look at that one as Le Chasseur shot into the end zone, but it just hung up a little bit. An immediate huck there, and Le Chasseur is on the receiving end of that one. Immediately moves it upfield. Le Chasseur moving it to her sister, Naomi Le Chasseur. Upfield there, it's Leclerc, and Leclerc flips it there to Mallet. Le Chasseur for the goal, and Origine up 2-0 early on Nitro.
Bit of a hot start. So one thing I do know, Maëlys Le Chasseur, we said this in the last stream, but she was a star for the U20 Team Canada team in Poland last summer, and she was an injury reserve player because of her athleticism, which was clearly on display here for the U24 mixed team that competed this summer. So if I'm a thrower and I see Maëlys Le Chasseur kind of hanging out in the deep space, I might look that off because I don't know if you know something. Oh, Kev, actually, you do know this because you have a pretty big ape index. But there's something called an ape index, and Maëlys Le Chasseur's ape index is crazy. So it means her arms, in proportion to her body, is incredibly long. You have a positive ape index, don't you?
I do, and yes, it makes you deceptive, especially when you're throwing. You just have that extra bit of length that you may not, the marker may not actually perceive. She's a tall woman, but at the end of the day, if she's got a longer reach than she does height, it's just that extra bit of deception. She can get up just a little bit higher. And there, you can see her immediately rushing back to patrol the deep space. The huck came up and she got the block. Danny, this game has started out at a wild pace. I'm not sure if these teams can keep this up. They're both teams are fast breaking instantly upon receiving the disc, both on offense and on defense. And it's a crazy pace. And I think if I'm Nitro right now, I want to settle things down a little bit, right? I don't want to play this running gun style with this Origine team that's already shown that they can go deep and work the disc around. I think I'm just, more confident to work it through this zone and not try to be too risky as we get another look at this Nitro offensive unit. Undershot there. Nitro moving the disc up the field, and just a loose flick there gets affected a little bit by the wind. Had eyes for her target, Hovstad, but it just wasn't there. And now Breton has the disc. Breton goes up line. An immediate huck there and connects to her spot. That was number 33, Godui with the huck. Now it's back in the hands of Godui. Immediately sees an upfield throw. Can she keep her feet in? She's ruled. Looks like there's a foul on the throw. No ruling on the reception there.
From where we are, it kind of looked like it might have been out by the time she'd actually reeled it in, but it was
that was
definitely
number
close.
25, Clara Godin, trying to keep the disc in. And there's a little bit of a discussion there on the reception, but it looks like it's coming back on a foul, no contest. Going to be in the hands of Godui. Godui has Mancy in the backfield as her bail. Mancy now with her hands on the disc. Looking around, sees an upfield, beautiful little IO cutting shot, and they transfer that directly into a goal. Kayla Breton goes up line. Mancy cuts a little lefty, IO break shot, and it really opens up the goal. Finishing that was Anna Lefebvre, and Origine coming out absolutely nuclear to start this game, leading 3-0, Danny. Just extreme pace and extreme poise from this Origine offense.
Now, we know because this Origin team plays a lot of 4-on-4, and since the pandemic, Quebec specifically has been investing a lot in juniors ultimate. They spent a lot of time during the pandemic working on fundamentals, getting kids to play earlier. I think they even start at the age of 5 in some of their programs there. So there's a huge community that is supporting all of the youth growing up in both Quebec City and Montreal and beyond. And you can see it out here. That little break shot that we saw near the end zone there, I know it didn't count as an assist or a stat line, but that specific throw is what opened up that whole goal for Origine. And I think that not enough credit goes to those players that can work really hard to move the mark and to break the mark, because it just opens up everything.
Danny, this quarterfinals is one of 4, as the name ensues. One of 4 quarterfinals happening right now in the junior women's division. So right now we're watching Nitro and Origine with the early lead 3-0. The winner of this matchup plays the winner of Dino Eclipse. And then on the other side of the bracket, Vortex is taking on Titan with Manitoba and Wicked West. So the winners of those games are going to play in the semis. We see 3 British Columbia teams in the quarterfinals, 3 of the 8. Is this something that you expected to see?
I honestly expected to see more, which is maybe a homer type opinion. But last year, there were 3 out of 4 teams in semis were from BC. So I was expecting Vortex to be strong. I was expecting Dino to be strong. And the other issue is that because there's now kind of a split in the 2 different clubs, we've also seen kind of the talent, so to speak, also get spread out amongst, like, say, Eclipse and Nitro. So instead of having a really strong second team, we have a few strong teams that are kind of like just getting into that cusp.
And yeah, I misspoke. There actually is 4 junior women's teams from BC: Vortex, Eclipse, Dino, and Nitro. As we see Nitro strike deep there through the zone, just couldn't quite pull it down. And again, we see this Origine team with a chance to get another break. Dufour picks up. Dufour looks up line, and just a little bit too far there for a bidding receiver. We're not able to bring it down, and Nitro will collect it half field. Huang into the backfield. It's Bailey. Bailey looks upfield. Good completion there. Ferguson goes upfield. Nice hands there. That's Hovstad. Hovstad immediately shoots upfield. Well connected there. Bailey shoots the end zone. That's Lynn shooting to the end zone, and just a little bit too far for a bidding receiver. And again, Nitro just opting for more difficult shots as they shoot upfield.
Have a little bit of an injury. Oftentimes when you bid like that, you end up kind of winding yourself, and you can call an injury, and then the other team is able to substitute one player as well. Now, as a coach, I always opt to sub a player in this circumstance because it's an advantage for the other team. If, say, Nitro gets to sub on a completely fresh player, that's an advantage. So I would sub somebody out. If you were being subbed out in the situation, how would you feel?
Yeah, I mean, it's fine, right? It's a team sport. If you feel like you're getting subbed out just to get fresher legs on there, I'm totally fine with that. Also, with the turnover, you may want to get one of your more offensively minded players to come on the field. I think it's a totally fine play. Both coaches should be thinking about trying to make a strategic sub here. Tough to see which athlete it was that went down in a heap in the far corner. She looks like she's walking off on her own steam, though, right now, which is a good sign. It could just be, like you said, a winding, and it's not going to be a long-lasting injury. She seems to be walking well on the sideline right now. Origin will collect in the back of their own end zone and walk it up, have a chance to march down another break. They lead 3-0 right now in this game. Dufour with the disc now. Dufour set up in the bail position. An immediate long throw collected in the stack. I'm not sure if that was the intended receiver, but they're going to make the most of it as they start to fast break up the far side. La Chasseur with the disc now. La Chasseur flips into the backfield to Leclerc. Leclerc looking upfield. Vertical stack with a few options, almost too many options. Shoots to La Chasseur, who can't bring it in. Nitro immediately picks up and hucks it. And Leclerc's in the area. She's going to block that one. Justine Leclerc tracked that one down as that disc got up on edge, and she made sure to get her paw in there and get the block.
I would like to see Nitro calm it down a little bit. Like, they do have the receivers to make these cuts, to make these plays. They just need another little second.
Leclerc with the disc, looking upfield for La Chasseur. Instead, looking backfield to Dufour now. Dufour with the disc. Offerings out of the stack. Looking for something inside. Good look inside, and a foul is called. Looks like there's a discussion here. It's Dufour with the disc. Number 35, Mia Krzyzewski on the mark. Uncontested foul. This disc's going to go back into the hands of Dufour. Leclerc in the bail set here. And Denny, this Origin offense is running a vertical, and right now I kind of feel like in this point they're suffering from either too many people going or not enough people going, and the handlers are actually being a little hung out to dry.
Yeah, it's they take a second, and then they realize no one else is going, and then everybody goes.
Dufour now moves it, and the disc gets all the way to the far side. Nice hands there. Naomi La Chasseur with the grab. Sees an option in the middle. Instead, opts for the side. Chandonnet looks for Leclerc in the backfield. Now looking upfield. It's Breton. Breton sees a cutting option upfield. Instead, looking backfield. Again, not too many options. Now she's going to huck it deep, and that's picked off there. Hovstad. And then immediate turn as well. Again, Danny, like you were talking about, it's just the fast break energy out of Nitro just hasn't been benefiting them yet.
Yeah, it's just a bit too quick. If I'm their coach, I'd be telling them just to take their time.
Looks like a timeout here is called by Justine Leclerc. And honestly, you know, I know the jury is out a little bit on these play-stopping timeouts, but when you're up 3 breaks, or when you're up 3-0, 2 breaks to none, and you have a chance to march one in, I don't mind this timeout at all. Feel like the time advantage is more worth your while in this case. If you score this, you get that 4-point heat break. I think Leclerc here, they've had such trouble activating out of their vertical stack. I don't mind this timeout at all. Let's get on the same page and see if we can march this one in.
Yeah, if you've listened to the other streams, you might assume I'm a bit of a timeout hater, but it's absolutely not true. I do agree this is a well-timed timeout. And the fact that they're up 3-0, they have that chance to this is honestly kind of a bit of a dagger. If they can punch this one in, I'm feeling pretty in control of this game. But as we've seen the last couple days, no lead feels super safe in juniors. The momentum swings at this age group are incredible. And one thing I would like to see, though, however, from actually both teams, but especially this Nitro team, like the people on the field clearly need energy from their teammates. And the play is in one side of the field and all of the players are on the other. So if I were them, I would be trying to follow the play a little bit more, helping out my teammates on defense. Every little bit counts. And just because you're not the 7 on the field doesn't mean that you can't contribute.
Absolutely. Let's see if Nitro can bounce back here and have some good defensive possession here against this D-line offense for Origin, who so far has been absolutely ruthless. Disc in the hands of Justine Leclerc. Naomi La Chasseur in the bail, trying to squirrel open. Instead, it goes to the backfield. Well received there by Dufour. Dufour gets the full swing out of this one. It's going to be in the hands of Breton. And Breton goes an over-the-top shot. Lots of defense in the area. Just too much traffic there to go over the top with a hammer. And immediately hucked by number 24. That's Emmy Benson just ripping it. And it looks like there's a foul call on the play. Don't think it's going to be contested.
Now, I've known Benson since Benson was like 9 years old. And as soon as I see Benson with the disc in her hands, I know that the first look is going to be Huck. And it's clear that her teammates also know that too, because we had Krzyzewski immediately striking on a turn.
And Danny, this Nitro team, they haven't really been able to get anything going yet. They haven't strung together 3, 4, 5 passes. In my experience, when you get in this situation, I want to rely a little bit on the handlers to run give go, to run small ball, to just at the very least string 5, 6 passes together and get some momentum. But right now, they're just having such a tough time generating like actual looks up into the lane. And again, we see they're only able to get one before a turnover. Leclerc hustles over to get the disc tapped in. Nitro just doesn't have their offense together right now. Leclerc fires that one out of bounds, just a little bit too far for her receiver. Nitro is set to pick up. Bit of a messy start to this game. It's high energy start at the very beginning has started to fall now that we've got into a multi-turn point. Big cut there. Well done by Ferguson. Ferguson looks upfield, has a striking receiver. Instead, it's Havestad. Havestad has the disc now. Looks upfield, another nice cut. Now we're starting to string it together. This is Kathy Huang. Kathy Huang looks upfield. Goes back to Havestad. Havestad looks upfield and in and out of the hands of number 12, Kieran Ferguson. Just a bit of case of the dropsies here for this Nitro offense as they started to get a little momentum, but just an untimely drop. Just an ultra patient vertical here as there's no real options downfield. Now the disc's into the backfield. La Chasseur comes all the way around. Well received here. This is number 12, Asseling. Asseling trying for La Chasseur, just out of reach.
Now, Nitro just needs to punch one in. I think once they get one on the board, they'll calm down and they'll play more their game. Right now, it's just feeling a little frantic. It's feeling a lot unconfident.
Emmy Benson with the disc. Just out of the reach for Havestad as she climbed the ladder trying to make that play. Now it's Leclerc picking up. Several turns both directions on this one so far. Nice shot there. Leclerc hits that inside break. And now it's a shot up the line and well defended there. Number 6, Isabella Lynn gets up big and whacks that one away.
That's her third block of the game so far. So when I found out today that she's going to UVC, I'm now salivating. This is going to be exciting.
Disc in the middle of the field now. Mia Krzyzewski with it. Krzyzewski has Havestad. Instead, looking for Benson. Flips into the backfield. Dye with it. Stephanie Dye looking upfield. No real options. Resets the disc. Now it's going to go around to Benson. Benson hits an upfield shot there. Ferguson. Ferguson seeing a target, goes upfield, just out of the reach there. And that's Isabella Lynn, who just couldn't find her footing there by the sideline, and the throw was just off target. Marianne Dufour to pick up with Leclerc in the backfield. Loud sideline from the T10 sideline. Dufour immediately hucks to the end zone. Multiple targets in there. La Bonté trying to steal out a defender. Knocked away smartly there. That was Emmy Benson on the block. Looks like there's going to be a foul called right at the back line. Benson closed the gap there, Danny, and kind of sealed out number 20, Florence La Bonté.
We see a lot of these calls kind of happen. And if I'm Benson here as a defender, both players from where we're very far away, to be fair, but from both players kind of running in the same direction as the disc, Benson kind of gets a mitts on it. It seems first. I would go to the observer if I were the defender here. but it looks like it might be a foul contest.
Yeah, it's a tough one to tell, but the disc is right on the back line as well. So not only is La Bonté contending with the fact that it's a high hanger and a bit of pressure from behind from Benson, but at the same time, she's contending with that back line. I think a foul contest is a fine outcome here. Had that gone to the observer, my guess is that they would have ruled with the Nitro defender.
I agree. So again, if you're listening to this and you're on defense and you feel like your block was good, it doesn't hurt you, because that wouldn't have been a strip regardless. So.
Okay, there also seems to be discussion here on the throw that it was a stall down. And in fact, it's an uncontested stall down. We probably could have avoided all that action in the back of the end zone as the observer rules a uncontested stall down.
Coach Justin Podner here on the sideline, quite confused by all the calls.
Now Nitro seems to be marching the disc up with a little more rhythm. Got some backfield options and some upfield options. Goes into the backfield. Losing her footing was number 7, Stephanie Dye. An immediate fast break again, La Chasseur. La Chasseur with Dufour in the backfield. Dufour with a little juke to the backfield and went upfield and had the space. La Chasseur just couldn't find her for it. And an immediate strike, and the disc sails, and there's lots of traffic in that area. And that one's not going to go up against the wind, just sailing into the wind and getting cut down. Danny, messy O point here for Nitro and Origin not making them pay just yet.
It's looking like everyone needs to take a few breaths before they do anything. I think we're going to sound like a broken record until we see it here on the field.
La Chasseur here trying to calm things down. Excellent undercut with tons of space is Chandonnet. Chandonnet looking upfield now. This is Labonte. Into the backfield to Leclerc. Leclerc looking across. Good defensive pressure there by number 6, Isabella Lynn. And then an upfield throw just out of reach for her target. And we're starting to see a little bit of fatigue set in. These athletes played in their crossover round in the 10:30 slot, then came off a bye to this game. They just don't really have their top stuff, as you can see. It looks like Emmy Benson's going to be calling a timeout.
For Nitro's first timeout of the game.
We're going to take a short break during this timeout, and we'll be right back in a minute or two to catch you up on all the action.
All right, so we're just coming back in after this timeout, and we do have Nitro with the disc, and learning how to play in these kind of pressure moments is going to be invaluable for this team. I did hear that they're only graduating one player from this squad, so being able to play in quarterfinals on stream is just kind of like a badge to add to their ultimate repertoires that'll make them stronger players in the future.
Yeah, and Danny, this Origin team this program has really grown over the last couple of years out of Quebec City, right? Even if you go back 5-6 years, Quebec City didn't have a huge blossoming junior scene, but you could see, right away this season, they had so many good options as their men's and junior women's team both in the quarterfinals, as we see Hovestad for Nitro trying to work the disc up, and again, just a miscue on the reception. And again, Nitro is just suffering from execution errors all up and down the field right now. Origin takes over. Chandonnet with the disc, looking up line. Instead goes to the backfield. It's La Chasseur, and it's turned over in a short field for Nitro to work with here. Nitro rushing to pick the disc up, trying to fast break. Dye with the disc now. Dye to Lynn. Lynn around. Good reception there by Huang. Kathy Huang back to Dye. Sky. Quickly working the disc. They're working with the top set here.
Out of bounds.
Ruled OB by the observer, and it's not the first time we've seen a sort of a simple looking out of bounds on that far sideline. Well read there by the Origine attacker as she escapes deep. This is Nadeau with it now, and picked off there. And immediately Benson hucks it. That one's a good rip. Right on target. Well received there. This is Krasinski. Krasinski asking, nay, begging for a little bit of support. Goes back to Benson. Emmy Benson looking upfield now. Not a ton of options. Now can go into the backfield. Nice little pop dump shot there. This is Huang. Kathy Huang goes all the way around using the width of the field. Can they drop this one in? It is Hovestad, and Nitro finally breaks the seal and gets their first goal of the game. A long one. And sometimes that can get the momentum back on your side if you win the marathon points, Danny.
Yeah, we're stoked to see them get on the board. If I'm Nitro, you can relax a little bit. And I think that relaxation is going to be something that's going to be key for them to be able to find themselves back into this game. Now, one thing I always try to tell my athletes when I'm either coaching them in really intense games or we're, say, learning something new, when you're learning or overthinking, you're living in the part of your brain where that impacts negatively kind of muscle memory. So normally you're like, oh, hey, I would have caught that, or I normally would have been able to make that throw. Like, I don't know what's happening. And it's because the wrong part, or a different rather, part of your brain is being lit up and you're thinking too much. So sometimes after you get that 1 point on the board and you can kind of just relax and you're not going to be overthinking and feeling that like tightness and that desperation, like I wouldn't be surprised if we see Nitro just look like a completely different team now.
Yes, I mean, we said it yesterday. Sometimes simply, you just got to see one go in, right? You just got to actually see what it looks like for your team to score a goal and then get a pull. It sometimes is as simple as that. And let's see if Nitro can capitalize as they now get to send out a fresh squad of 7, right? Send out their D-dogs, see what they can do. That being said, this Origine offense had a great first point, and let's see if they can just continue to be sound. Yesterday, Origin finished second in their pool, beating this Nitro team 10-9, losing to Dino, losing to Wicked West, and defeating Toro. So a 2-2 in their pool. And yeah, they're here looking here to see what they can do in quarterfinals, see if they can work their way into semis for the first time for a Quebec City program. A little bit of physicality there on the reception of foul called. This is a Nitro zone defense. And Origin quickly escaping out of it. La Chasseur into the middle. They're going to swing it all the way around. And instead cut off there by the Nitro zone. La Chasseur shoots one right through the middle. Go Dwee here. Go Dwee going give go with Godin and immediately hucking it. A lot of people in the area. Great defensive play there by the Nitro defender, closing the gap, getting up big and getting the block. Well read there as Go Dwee attacked the deep space, but Phoebe Chen was equal to the task.
Now, you notice that Nitro zone, they actually had a zone around the disc, and they were kind of person backfield, and it seemed to be quite effective.
Immediate strike there. Turnaround cutting. Hitting the upfield, and just good coverage by Go Dwee in the back. There was no real throwing lane there. An immediate throw upfield, and it hangs up. Oh, and a layout catch there just on the goal line. It's Lefebvre. Lefebvre looking upfield. Goes into the backfield. It's Breton. And that's going to cash in. Number 77, Maeva Breton. Easy pickings at the front of the end zone. And when you get that short field turn, Danny, it's only a couple passes later that Origine worked it in.
Yeah, we've definitely seen that strategy. Not saying that was a strategy that they've necessarily employed here, but seeing the strategy of maybe taking a deep shot, and if it doesn't work, just getting down there and playing defense, sort of like foaming at the mouth, feral type defense, getting a block right away, and then you can just kind of chip it in for an easy score. So they didn't necessarily do that on purpose, I'm not sure, but it definitely worked out for them. We've definitely seen Origine taking a few more deep shots as the game has progressed. Whether they're open or not, they're just trying to see if their players can make plays, and it's about 50-50 right now. I think Nitro was able to come down with a block there, but that last time they were able to receive it by a kind of like a garbage collection like layout saving or possession saving layout from Origin.
So we're entering to our first heat break. This is where the athletes get an extended water break that's size of a timeout. We have been in the mid to high 30s as far as the like total feels like temperature out here in Surrey. And on the turf, it's an extra couple for sure. So hot days here, and for the player safety, they're getting these extended breaks. We talked a little bit about Nitro Origin's route to get here. Let's talk a little bit about Nitro's route. Yesterday, they did come third in Pool A, and they losing to Origin, beating Toro, and losing to Wicked and to Dino. And then they beat Helios in the crossover. So that's a nice win over that Kamloops Merit program that we talked about yesterday on the stream. So this Nitro team, no slouch, but they are off to a slow start today, looking not quite as crisp as we're used to seeing them in the other games.
Yeah, the Helios team, I have been keeping track of them because I'm a big fan, especially of newer programs. And for Nitro to come over that team with a win is very impressive. I'm sure it was hard fought, and they're maybe feeling a little bit in their legs and even their brains a little bit. It's mentally exhausting to play in the heat in these kinds of games. So, well, we'll see what they can do here with their offensive unit.
Origin set the pole left to right on your screen. That's number 13, Melis Lachasseur with the pole. That's going to hang, and go out of bounds.
Very deep pole, though. An offside here called by the observers and accepted by Nitro.
Offside ruled on that one. Nitro will take this offside from the brick mark. Kathy Huang set the tap the disc in with Jourdain on the mark. Huang having a tough time finding her spot, and here it is. Jourdain to tap the disc in. Immediately goes upfield. Kieran Ferguson looks upfield. Good cutting. Hovestad. Nice grab there. Ruled inbounds. Hovestad taps it in. Gets her feet set. Looking upfield. Big undercut. Great hands there. That's Kathy Huang with the reception. Another upfield shot just hitting that open side right now. It's Chen. Chen with the disc back to the middle, and Hovestad couldn't bring it in. They've just been a little loose in their handler set, getting those resets, Danny, and just too many errors on this Nitro side so far. Origin D-line picks up and immediately ripped by Lachasseur. This one's got a lot of hang, but no receiver in the area. It's going to be too far. And this is one of those situations that we were talking about earlier where, it's not the end of the world if you huck it downwind, have an opportunity to play strong D. Nitro on their first trip up the field was just hitting open side shot after open side shot after open side shot. Let's see what they can do here. It's Ferguson looking upfield. Good initiating cut motion there. It's Chan. Chan with the disc. Now Hovestad. Little shake and bake in the upfield. Oh, and good D, but it looks like a foul called there as Henrique was right on the pressure on the backside of Hovestad.
I don't hate that foul call. I think that there was quite a bit of contact, and Hovestad had the space and the disc.
Yeah, it's tough to tell from this angle. It's also interesting to know the throw was a little bit too far out in front, which just makes that space a little more contested. But Lilea Henrique, as she was coming in over the back, I think this is a fine foul call. We'll see how it gets resolved. I think it's, both parties probably have an argument for what this could look like. They're just negotiating it now. Observer is in there to make sure she's hearing both sides, and then she'll ultimately make a ruling if requested. Foul uncontested here. Enrique agreeing that she just made the contact before the play there. And now we see Kieran Ferguson upfield.
Krzyzewski going to be the primary target to start.
There goes Krzyzewski striking deep, and Hovestad rewards her, but just too much edge on that one. It's beat down by the wind, and Origin going to take over again.
All the way down back to the end zone.
Enrique set to pick up looking upfield, throws a break throw. Nice touch on that one. La Chasseur with the disc now. La Chasseur demanding a deep target. Hangs one up in the air, and this one's not going to come back. You can hear the coaching staff discussing with Meilly's La Chasseur. La Chasseur did not feel like she had any target. Benson's going to have the disc inside the brick with Nitro attacking the end zone. Kathy Huang in the backfield as her bail. Huang goes upfield. Instead, she just sends it out to space. It's not quite going to work because I think she thought Huang was coming back to the backfield, but just didn't connect with her. And now a huck will come up. La Chasseur on the receiving end this time, seeing if she can track this one down. Huge layout and unsuccessful one.
Now, La Chasseur is known for her big bids. She actually wasn't able to compete with U24s because she broke her wrist on a layout block against a U24 Colombian player. So she's used to this.
Benson taps it in, directly shoots upfield. Well corralled there, way to make sure. This is Tallulah Chan with the disc. Brought down smartly, Kieran Ferguson on a second effort. Now it's back into the middle here in the hands of Lynn. Lynn fires deep, no one home. Another turnover for this Nitro offense.
Another marathon point, as we like to call it. Battle of attrition here.
Immediately hucked. La Chasseur in the neighborhood. So is Benson. Over both of them, but La Chasseur spins around and makes the catch on the turnaround. And now looks to the end zone and connects. And that's Noemi Jourdain with the goal. And Origine this time comes out on the benefiting side of a long one, and they lead 5-1 early in this quarterfinal matchup.
So just to give you a little update on the other quarters, we have Vortex at 4-10 at 2. We have Dino 8, Eclipse 0. We have Wicked West at 7 and Manitoba at 2. So the other closest quarter would be Vortex to 10. So maybe we can keep you all updated with the scores that are happening on the other games.
At this juncture, Danny, not to put any sort of final results on the game that we're watching right now, but hearing those results roll in and hearing that Dino and Wicked have huge leads right now, it really does look like we're staring at there's sort of what we would call a big 2 or a big 3 in this division, right?
Absolutely.
Dino, the undisputed 1 seed, the what has shown to be the best team at this tournament, but they're playing, in the same category as Wicked and Vortex. These are teams that we expected to be in this position, and it looks like they're vaulting towards the semifinals with this Origin team right there as well.
Yeah, it's been a very dominant performance. I did my picks contest for this tournament, and I think those top 3 were my heavy favorites as well. But you never know which other teams are going to kind of bubble up from the next tier, and Origin's looking pretty strong right now, not going to lie.
Nitro offense here set to pick up. Little upline shot there. And immediately looking deep is number 7, Stephanie Dye. Dye looking into the backfield. Good coverage. Tough shot upfield. Connects there. This is Chen. Angela Chen looking upfield. Well secured there by Lynn. Lynn smashing the upfield. Oh, great block there. Inside position established. That's Go Dwee just getting the inside position and then making the block. Great read on that one. She immediately shoots it upfield. La Rochelle now. La Rochelle looking upfield. Instead goes to the backfield. Knocked away and a yardage to boot there. Caitlin Chan on the read and the block. And the disc is inside the brick here for Nitro. Has a chance to march in a hold. Grace Paley with the disc. Double coverage on the upfield open side. Now goes into the backfield. Well secured there. That's Caitlin Chan. Paley now. Grace Paley looking upfield. And great effort. Looks like there's going to be a foul called. Go Dwee not contesting that underplay by. Is that Olivia Atkinson on the bid under? It looks like. And Go Dwee, no contested foul. It's going to stay in the hands of Atkinson. Atkinson will tap the disc in here, staring up this open side. See if they can get some lateral motion here, Danny. Instead, it's an upfield one again. This time gobbled up and completed there. That's number 22, Lauren Fung, who flips it to Grace Paley for the goal. And just that open side offense, if it's not broken, why fix it? They smash up the open side, and Nitro cashes on their second goal. They trail 5-2 now to Origin.
It's not impossible. They're not completely out of it. They can come back. One thing that I have noticed, which maybe isn't a surprise if you know BC Ultimate quite well, you kind of are familiar with a mixed team called Red Flag that exists here. And now Red Flag was a new mixed team started in, I think, like during the pandemic, 2020 type time frame. And they've been dominant in Canada and have been doing really well globally and also in America. And a lot of their players are the coaches in this Prime Ultimate program. And so you see Justin Potter and Mika Kurahashi are two of the 4, I believe, coaches for this team. Both of them play on Red Flag. So you kind of actually see a very similar style of Ultimate to that Red Flag squad, to both Dino and Nitro here. So they like to see a lot of side stacks and kind of backing defense. So you're seeing a lot of side stacks. But one thing that I have noticed is that when they do throw it sometimes to the open side, the whole stack sometimes is still in that space. And so I think that I would like for the Nitro team to continually adjust their stack to continue to make a bit more space, because they've shown when they actually have space to make the cuts, make the throws, that they can connect.
Yeah, and Danny, I think one thing that's plaguing both these teams, actually, despite Origin doing very well overall, especially defensively, and then marching it in for the breaks, neither team is moving the disc laterally. We've talked about having a high side and a low side, and both teams are getting trapped on this third next to the camera here as the wind's kind of blowing against the camera and a bit of a crosswind. And neither team is actually moving the disc laterally to get it up to that high side. As we see underthrow here by Origin right down this, what we would call the low side, the sort of easy side. And let's see if they can go against the grain here and use this lateral motion. Nitro especially not able to get the disc to the high side and really just hammering that open side. And when it does work, it's fine, but it doesn't look sustainable. So we'll see if Origin can crack through this zone as they have the disc now up on the bleacher side, looking across the field. Centering the disc here. It's Henrique. Henrique going upfield, well secured there. That's Jourdain. Jourdain now with the disc, giving her cutters some time. Now it's Enrique. Enrique to Leclerc. Leclerc to Enrique. Enrique looking upfield now, trapped on this low side again. That's a nice centering throw here to crack it open and immediately rip deep, and a spot on the money there. That is Marianne Dufour that dropped a dot into the back of the end zone. And Danny, just what do we call it? The commentator's curse, whatever the opposite of that is. They moved the disc laterally and they saw the benefits in that point.
I think maybe they have one of those earpieces and they're listening to us. That would be bad strategy, because I would trust yours and my perspectives. We have a wealth of experience between the two of us. I trust us quite a bit.
Origin leads 6-2 against Nitro in this feature matchup quarterfinal.
I'm very impressed with that throw. I think that there was an easier option, which was to do one more flip to swing it, but that Dufour saw the player cutting to the back of the stack. We have Breton cutting, and just knew their receiver and just stepped out, engaged their core, and made a beautiful backhand right to that corner. So one other update we have for the other quarters, it is currently 7-2 Vortex over Titan. So that one looking like it's starting to lose its possibility. It's kind of starting to take shape. Right now, if I'm Nitro coaches, I'm going to be trying to get my players to just relax, calm down, make space for each other. I know like the pressure can kind of get to them a little bit, but right now they are in a position where they can just have fun. Down by 4, they're going to need a little bit of magic, and the magic only comes when you're a little bit more loose and feeling a little bit more confident.
Nitro collects now. And a missed centering flip, just as you were saying, they could benefit from a little bit of a more, simple offensive point, or an immediate timeout called there by Origin. Up 6-2 and a short field turn. Danny, in the earlier game between Nitro and Ignite on the junior open side, we saw Nitro kind of plagued by some short field turns and not being able to make up for it, and just kind of having some struggle around their own goal line. And here we hadn't seen that be much of an issue yet, but here is Nitro missing a flip and giving Origin a chance for what we want to call in the business a cheap break, right? And as an offensive unit, you just really want to avoid giving up cheap breaks, right? If you have a long offensive point and can't quite work it in, and the other team, makes magic and works it up and scores a goal, this sometimes so be it, right? Sometimes you're going to get broken in an ultimate game, but in this one, you don't want to ever hand anything over for free. And Origin has already showed to have good patience around the goal line. So giving them a free short look at a cheap break is not ideal.
Absolutely not. It's like when you accidentally drop a pull or missing a flip, it can just feel devastating if you're an offensive player. And I've been there before. And you know what? You will survive. You will come back from this. It's going to be okay. But you got to put on some relentless defensive pressure right now. Maybe a little poach set or something. I love coming out of timeouts, doing something a little bit different. Maybe changing the force, adding an open side slough. Something different is usually what I like to see. But you can see that Origin has a super far away stack. I wouldn't be surprised to see a dominator right now.
Looks like Origin is going to isolate their top three. It's La Chasseur on the far sideline. It's Breton with the disc, Breton with the disc in the middle, and Mancy on this outside wing. And instead, it's just shooting to the end zone like a high. Oh, and a turnover. Great defense there. There was so many options downfield, and they just sort of ripped it into a space. And at the end of the day, it was just too busy, and Nitro generates the turn.
And too far. Like I expected with the stack being that far back that they were going to be running a dominator, but I feel like that cut was just a little bit too deep.
Grace Paley now collects, staring up this open side. Little dish and just a miscommunication there, and a missed throw by Paley looking for her target upfield. Instead, a little air bounce completion there. Eva Mancy finding her target in the goal, and Origin makes them pay. Origin leads Nitro in the quarterfinals here 7-2, joining the large swath of one-sided quarterfinals happening here in the junior women's division, really establishing a top four, a clear top four right now. Origin leads 7-2. On our other fields, we just heard Vortex was leading 7-2. Dino had an 8-buzz lead at half. And right now we heard that Wicked is up pretty sizably on Manitoba.
9-2.
9-2. So at the end of the day, we're seeing a clear top four assert themselves in this junior women's division. And honestly, Danny, Vortex, Wicked, Dino, and Origin, expected, especially after yesterday's pool play, expected to be the top four out of this bracket.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I believe when Origin has been playing to 10, they've only been beating them by like 1, for example. So the Battle of Quebec was always really, really tight. But in terms of this pool of teams at this tournament, Origin is looking like they deserve a spot in the semifinals. I've been so impressed with their fundamentals. They're just clearly top to bottom of their roster, more fundamentally sound in terms of throwing, catching, cutting, spacing, defense, and everything. And that's not a knock to the Nitro players. They're just not quite as experienced playing at this level as a unit.
And the French side out of Quebec City, Origin also has, I would say, a size advantage. Some of their top players are a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger, have shown that they've played at a bit higher of a level. So right now they're using all of their advantages to assert this 7-2 lead. We see Nitro on offense against a little bit of a poachy zone set and a great read there and a nice block by Origin. Looks like there was a call. That was Elodie Asselin coming in and making the block, but there is a discussion on whether or not the receiver thought she had that first.
Now, I don't know if Outerbridge just didn't see Benson initially, but there was a kind of open up line look, and then Benson was like, "Oh, don't want to throw to me," and started cutting away, and they cut back, and that gave the defenders some time for them to kind of get in there and get their mitts in there a little bit. I am curious how this call is going to be resolved. Again, far away from us, can't really tell.
It looked like a little bit of a sort of diamond zone where there was person on the thrower, but then upfield there was like saggy under coverage, and you saw Elodie Asselin was kind of covering that zone space, and then when the receiver came into it, she made her move and bit in and made the play. So just figuring out how this call is going to go right now as the observers involved.
Whenever I feel like I'm open and it's kind of a sloughy zone, I always feel like there must be somebody just on my back shoulder. You see so many of those run through Ds as the offensive player kind of slows down to maybe gain yards, and the defender's coming in full speed.
And at the end of the day, it is the throw. I believe that it's the thrower's responsibility to identify those sort of blind defenders. And if they can identify them, they can really shift them with their pump fakes, right? You look at your target. If you see the D start to creep, you look somewhere else, then you hit back to your target. You can actually, you have a lot more power than you think as the thrower. You can shape the defense. So it looks like it's going to stay in the hands of Nitro here as they get a second chance at this one. And now it's hung up over the top and knocked away there. And who else? Melee Lashashur with the block. Now immediately trying to get open is Leclerc, but it's an overthrow, and Nitro collects immediately and looks to fast break. And she asks for a deep shot and releases, and that's a great spot there. Mia Krzyzewski downfield receiving that. Patience around the end zone now. Hovestad looking upfield. Swings it over. That's Benson. And Benson immediately to the end zone line and ruled out of bounds. Just a little too much rushed there again. As you saw Benson just grab the disc, look to the far sideline, and before really realizing what the spacing and the defender spacing was like, just snapped it out of bounds. Maeva Breton to pick up. Breton looking upfield. Has an isolated cutter. Doesn't like it. Instead, opts for an upline shot and just straight into the ground there. Gives Nitro a short field. Rachel Hovestad. Oh, excuse me. Oh, Hovestad there with a nice catch. And now she swings it out. And a layout chance there is incomplete. Again, coming down this sort of downwind side, you really have to give it more love there as Kyla Liu was laying out for that one. Just wasn't meant to be. Leclerc picks up. Leclerc looking for Breton. Breton sees Melee. Lachasseur stabs that one out of the air. Miley's. Now Leclerc. Back to Miley's. Lachasseur. Lachasseur a little backhand inside. That's a nice spot there. Breton with it. This is Annalie Breton. No real option. Instead, she's just going to hang it up to her tall receivers in the area. Oh, it almost looks like Miley's Lachasseur blocked her own receiver there as they were both trying to compete for that one. Tough to tell when the disc's just in the air. Sometimes you're just getting position trying to make a play on the disc. You don't always know if it's your receiver or your teammate that's also trying to make a play on it. Benson goes up line, sliding grab, inbounds. Now looks upfield, looking for Rachel Hovestad in the upfield space. She reaches, but instead it's an absolutely unguarded Mia Krzyzewski upfield. And again, that's the second time in this point she's leaked deep for free. Now it's in the hand of Bailey. Bailey looking upfield, hits Hovestad. Rachel Hovestad now, the commander of the troops on this offensive line, has Benson in the backfield, goes to Benson. Hovestad unmarked, gets it right back. Hovestad looking upfield, flips it there. It's Bailey. Bailey now sees Benson going up line, instead goes into the backfield and incomplete there. Another backfield turn as Kyla Liu sending it, laying out for the second time in this point. Lots of downfield options now, playing a little give-go. Just a dominator give-go here. Breton with the disc now. Breton. Oh, this is real give-go central now as they're setting up a dominator. Leclerc and Breton just going every other. Breton hits Lachasseur. Lachasseur airs it out. Big forehand rip to her target. And that's going to get up for the goal. Annalie Breton. And Origine, messy as it may be, worked that one up for a goal. And they're just using their size and speed to their advantage, hanging up deep shots and coming down with them.
Which I don't blame them. If they're able to actually put the disc up in the air, they're 9 times out of 10 going to be the one coming down with it. This Nitro team, with the exception of a few people, are definitely quite a bit physically smaller. Now, to do a couple more updates from around the pitch, we have Wicked at 10 and Manitoba at 3. We have Dino at 10 and Eclipse at 1. So Eclipse is now on the board, which is great, but it's still looking like we pretty much know what our semifinal matchups are going to be.
And if all goes to what we kind of are expecting here, it's going to be a Vortex versus Wicked West semi on that side of the bracket. On this side of the bracket, we're watching Nitro and Origine battle it out. If Origine's able to close this game out, they'll face Dino, the Vancouver squad, in the semis. So it will be potentially a top 4 of Vortex, Wicked, Origin and Dino.
Now the Vortex Wicked game we've already seen, and I think that was determined by one goal. And we knew that game wouldn't necessarily matter. It would give them an easier game to kind of get back to where they are now. But I kind of knew right away that was going to be the semi to watch. And we're going to be able to see it play out for us tomorrow on the stream, which is going to be excellent. Well, not necessarily on the stream, but tomorrow during semis.
Yeah, and I think just looking at this Origin team as well and watching how they play, they kind of feel like a bit of a boom bust team. Yesterday, they lost to Dino 15-3, right? That's very one-sided, but just watching the game right now, it feels like they have the athletes and they have the top level talent between Breton, Lachasseur, and Leclerc, Manzi in the backfield as well. These are players that are as good as anyone in the event, right? And I think it's just this Dino team is shown to have so much depth so far in this tournament. So it really will come down to, in that semi, should everything go and hold as we're seeing right now, that semifinal matchup will just be, can the star power of Origin actually give the Dino players a good run?
Now, I don't know if the score from pool play is a clear indication, or that 15 or 13-3 or whatever score it was, because I think a lot of teams, when they face Dino, are like, well, we don't want to run our stars into the ground against this team. If we see them later, then we'll go for it. So it could be a closer game than I think their original score would indicate. But right now, focusing on this game, we're at halftime. So the players are getting some shade, getting some Gatorade, sugar, hopefully. And we'll take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Welcome back to Newton Athletic Park in Surrey, BC, home of the 2023 Canadian Ultimate Championships. This tournament is going from Sunday to Sunday. The juniors for the first 4 days and the adults for the second 4 days. Denny, this junior tournament has been fabulous so far. We're in a quarterfinal matchup between Origin, who's pulling to Nitro from Vancouver, Origin from Quebec City, and Origin has a real stranglehold over this game. It's been a good game, but the score really feels representative of who the better team is.
Absolutely. I think that Nitro could have a couple more points on the board, and I wouldn't bat an eye, but Origin definitely looks dominant.
Origin with an immediate deep shot, absolute dime ball there. Nitro. Yeah, Nitro with a huck. Oh, and then an end zone turn there as Sophia Kang was on the receiving end of a beautiful huck and then tried to flip the disc to Kathy Huang, but couldn't quite come down with it. And that's sort of been the story of this Nitro team so far, is they've pieced together some great play, but just haven't been able to do it consistently, Danny.
That was an incredible forehand huck. It was deep. It was flat. It was wonderful.
Go Dwee now out to the flats, working it up.
Looks like there's a pick call on the field.
Mancy, this is coming back. Good lateral motion here by the Origin D-line playing offense right now. Looks like it's going to go back into the hands of Anna Lefebvre. Anna Lefebvre with the disc right now. Lefebvre looking up field. Looking up line. Finds Godwee. Godwee. Snappy pump fake. Asking out of her team. Instead hangs it around. La Chasseur. Nice grab there. Excuse me, that's Clara Godin. Godin with the disc and immediately blocked there. Fast hands of Kathy Huang with the block. Benson to pick up. Looks into the backfield. It's Bailey. Taylor Bailey now looking upfield. Well received by Huang. Huang has kind of been all over the field in this point. Bailey with the disc now. Bailey looks upfield. Big layout attempt, but wrangled up there nicely by Kang. Sophia Kang goes upfield. Nice shot there. Chan connecting. They're hitting this open side on the far sideline well, and now they're going to go back into the middle. That's going to connect there. Big pump fake there by Kathy Huang. Kathy Huang, and that one's knocked away by the Origin defender. It's just a little bit. Every point they seem to have one misthrow or one miscue at least, Nitro, and they're just not able to string it through. Now Lefebvre has the disc. And Lefebvre looking upfield, and it looks like person-on-person coverage, deep set here. Priority on the handlers. Benson knocks that one away as it hung over top of Godwee's hands. Bailey picks up. Bailey, open side shot, connects for the goal. Bailey hits Sophia Kang, and feels like Sophia Kang really deserved a name on the stat sheet in that point, as she was the one who got the immediate strike deep. She was also the one who got a block in that point. She's done a great job in that point, and she earned it with Nitro cashing in to start off the second half. They trail Origin 8-3 in this junior women's quarterfinal matchup.
Now you can actually, maybe you can catch it on stream. I don't know if it's loud enough. It feels like it would be loud enough, but you can hear Coach Justin Podner on our sideline kind of telling the players which player he wants to cut. And I know that sometimes you want the athletes to kind of work within a system and learn to be a little bit heads up. But sometimes as a coach on the sideline, you can see a particular matchup, or you can see a defensive positioning that you think is favorable for your team, and calling a particular person into the play that you like. I like that. I do that a lot myself. I'll see if I'm coaching UBC or Team Canada or something, I see a matchup that I'm like, oh, well, this person is, first of all, they got a hot hand. And I want to ride that as much as I can. But also, like, maybe they are winning their matchup physically. Maybe they're winning their matchup mentally, and I just want to see them cook. You can call that from the sideline, and we'll see that the Nitro team kind of imploring that. Some people are maybe struggling a little bit, and the coaches can kind of see who's feeling confident and calling them into the play.
Yeah, it really depends, on the scenario, how much the coach and the coach themselves, right? How much the coach gets involved in dictating sort of live play action. Sometimes you feel like practice, strategy, this is like the coach's job. And sometimes when you get into the active play, it's like the player's got to play, right? And it doesn't mean that the coach can't give good advice and good feedback to the athletes as they're going on. But sometimes, you can lead your team to this location, and at the end of the day, they're the ones who have to jump, run, throw, and catch. So it's good work by all these coaching staff getting their squads into the quarterfinals here. And right now, Origin has been the better team so far as they work it up through the hands of number 21, Noemi Lachasseur. She comes out to her sister. Lachasseur, long shot, layout grab there. Nice hands by Justine Leclerc. She's been a stud in this game so far. Leclerc looking upfield, has Lachasseur in the backfield just in case. Instead, she flips it upfield for a cash-in goal, but it looks like there's a stall count situation here.
I absolutely love that throw by Lachasseur. She likes throwing in front of people to space, and she really allows her teammates to make big plays. Leclerc with that huge layout save right on the goal line is incredible.
Looks like this is a contested stall count, and the observers are working on sorting this out. Gabrielle Chandonnet was on the receiving end of that goal, but is holding onto the disc right now, and this may be coming back. Both observers hearing out the cases from the athletes. And this is a situation here, Danny, where it's not that there's a language barrier necessarily in the stall count, but when you're communicating with someone, this is likely a francophone and an anglophone having a discussion as the observers get involved. And it just takes that much more, a moment to make sure you're hearing someone out right. You may not exactly be getting your message across exactly how you'd want to see. And ultimately, the observers rule this is not a stall down, and Chandonnet cashes in for a goal. Origin continues to surge in this game as they now take a 9-3 lead. Both teams getting holds at a half.
Yeah, they try to keep the rules as simple as possible and using hand signals and everything like that. It definitely helps in international play, for example. So if there ever is a language barrier, typically you'll have a player on the team that is the representative that will speak a language to the other team to help navigate through calls. But right now we have observers, and I believe at least one observer per game needs to have French as one of their languages. I'm not sure if it's mandatory. Do you happen to know, Kev?
I don't, but it's in my experience working with Ultimate Canada that many of the observers speak both languages, so I would not be surprised. And in this game, I believe definitely one, if not both, speak French. So we should be able to sort that out. I have been to many Canadian Ultimate Championships in my time, and it's not uncommon to hear the French teams from Quebec speaking French with the observer and finding a way to have that translated. For the most part, in my experience, I found that the teams from Montreal, from Quebec, possess pretty solid English as well. So for us, non-bilingual players, from BC or other provinces that don't have as much of a French representation, that they will join us in English. And for that, I thank them very much. As we see Origin pull one out of bounds here, gathered up by Coach Justin Podner. Emmy Benson here, collecting, going to walk it to the middle of the field and get set. See what they can do here against what looks to be a Origin zone set, or at the very least a sluffy poach set with person in the backfield. Krasinski striking deep right away. Koreski, rather. Benson immediately shoots it up the middle to Hovestad, and Hovestad's going to go to Koreski. And if that one stays in, that is a clean offensive hold for Nitro, as Benson found Hovestad just in a soft pocket over the top of the zone, and Koreski, as she's been doing all afternoon, striking deep and cashing in that time.
I absolutely love that. You can hear it from the sideline. They clearly had a play that they were going to run, and Coach Justin Podner was like, split it. You gotta double cut. And so then all of the players kind of cut under and gobbled up the defenders and allowed one of their players, Hovestad, to be completely alone in the middle, who we've often seen that rushed throw not complete in this game. But that pass, I don't think she thought about it. She just caught it and then ripped it, and it went right into the hands of Krzyzewski. So I am very impressed. Clean hold, the cleanest hold we've had all game.
Certainly. And you see there, Nitro had come out in sort of a horizontal set, but responded to the zone coverage, the sort of saggy poach coverage that Origin had in the handler set. And I mean, I think it might have just been a missed assignment, but you saw Hovestad just sort of leak into that middle pocket, and the bold choice by Emmy Benson as she just sort of chipped a forehand over the horizontal stack to awaiting hands of Rachel Hovestad, who found Mia Koreski wide open in the end zone. By far the cleanest hold we've seen from Nitro today.
Bit of an offside call again.
So Origin will take the disc from half. Origin will take the disc from half in the middle of the field on the Nitro offside. Lila Henrique with the disc now. Henrique looking to the backfield now. Double cut in the backfield. Good defense. Goes out to the flats. Well received there. Annalie Breton looking upfield now. Instead goes to Henrique in the backfield. Henrique looking around. Wants Jordan, but instead comes under, and a great block there from Nitro, and an immediate strike, which is coming up and being rewarded. Perfect throw there. And that is number 22, Lauren Fung, with the block and the completion. Let's see if they can convert this into a goal. They're going to chip it around, and that is a goal and a break for Nitro, their first break of the game, and it's a beauty, and it couldn't come at a better time. The hero on that point, Lauren Fung, with a run-through block and an immediate strike to the goal.
I absolutely love that. I don't know what it is about getting a run through D, but it's kind of like it gives you a bit of a power boost, like a power pack. And all of a sudden you're now just like, you have this momentum, you have this adrenaline, and you're just streaking to the end zone. No one can catch you. You are invincible. So we got to see that from Lauren Fung, another player I was coaching basically from birth. So
from birth.
It's cool to see these kids that I was coaching when they were really, really young, maybe at a summer camp or something, playing at nationals. It's just warms my heart, my cold, cold, dead heart.
Lauren Fung, great block there. And just like you said, sometimes when you get the D on the run through, you're the most prepared to like take off deep. So whether it be an extra power boost from the acceleration and the excitement from the block, but more than anything, you're the one who knows that the turnover has happened and you can escape deep. The person that you've blocked often's a little off balance trying to make a play, just got blown past. So it looks like Origin's going to take a timeout here and just give a little bit of rest to their offensive group. As we look around, we continue to see similar scores roll in as predicted here. Vortex leading Titan, Wicked leading Manitoba, and Dino leading Eclipse. With this game on our main field, is currently 9-5 for Origin. The closest other game I'm looking at here is Vortex leading 10-4 over Titan. The other two are starting to run away with it.
Now, another thing I want to say, if you're a junior and you're watching this and you're thinking about tryouts and stuff, one thing that makes that play that Fung did open is because usually when there's a mistake or you get run through blocked, you'll often see athletes kind of like stop and like have a reaction, an emotional reaction, whether they're sad, they put their head down, whatever it is. And so now you have this moment to capitalize where you don't have a defender. So if you're listening to this and you're at a tryout, you get blocked, you drop the disc, put your head down, play defense. Don't even worry about it. Those are the types of things coaches really notice.
Yeah, you can't control the pass, Danny. Super fast break here. Go Dwee, working well with Breton. Breton shoots it upfield. Immediately in the hands of Breton. This is Kayla Breton. Kayla Breton shoots the end zone right on the money, and what a fabulous point that was. A real statement hold from Origin after sort of a sketchy one where they got broken. They came back out and absolutely marched it down on the backs of the two Breton. That was Annalie Breton and I believe Kayla Breton, who were working it up so well and earning that space, making that goal happen. Origin now takes that lead 10-5, and it feels like that. I mean, that point is pretty big. You know, I don't want to say it's a backbreaker just yet, Danny, but 9-5 before that point, 9-6 starts to feel like, okay, possible. Anything can happen, but 10-5, that's opening up a 5 goal lead. That's pretty significant at this juncture in the game.
Yeah, especially because we're kind of rolling into about 10 minutes left in this game. It is a bit harder to come back from that, but I do want to acknowledge Kayla Breton right now. She's got 3 assists and a goal so far on this game. And looking around at the other quarterfinals, we have Wicked with 12, Manitoba with 5. We have Dino with 14 and Eclipse with 2.
Dino, the undisputed #1 seed at this tournament, has been absolutely thumping teams all weekend. We'll see if they can hold that during the semifinals and into finals, as they look like the favorite in this tournament right now on the junior women's side. Emmy Benson picks up, looks upfield into a side stack with one deep opportunity and immediately shoots deep. Benson finds her target. Is that going to stay in bounds? Good effort there. It just got too far to the line as Sophia Kang was trying to track that one down. Origine picks up and immediately centers the disc, then shoots it there. It's Melis Lachasseur, the real workhorse for this Origine squad. Immediately upfield as Leclerc reaches back and makes the stab. Leclerc, no real upfield opportunities. Goes up line. Wow, into a tight spot there, but it's received nicely by Henrique. And Henrique goes over the top. Again, that's Lachasseur trying to drag that one down. Couldn't quite come down with it.
I like that shot. I like that receiver. I would have done the exact same thing, but the wind kind of coming this way. So I think sometimes when you're reading it, you might think it's going to go where you expect, but it carries just a bit farther.
Benson now picks up and immediately hucks deep. This one's got a better edge on it, and it's going to hang. Well received there. Two-hand clap catch over the top. Great play there. That's #4, Sophia Kang. She's been on the receiving end, but just can't quite connect there with Hovestad. And an immediate huck the other direction is also going to be incomplete. This is that fast break action that we saw at the beginning of the game. And Danny, before, first thing, the very start of the game, we saw Origine actually capitalizing on the fast break and scoring. But everyone just looks like a little bit that much more fatigued right now, and the throwers aren't adapting.
Yeah, we also need to put a little bit more inside-out edge on some of these throws, give them a little bit more carry.
Benson with the disc, looking upfield. Double cut there again. Emmy Benson rips this one, and this one is going to sail and drift out of bounds. Covered there. Her target, Ferguson, couldn't quite keep it in bounds. Danny, we're seeing along this close sideline, close to the camera, that it's just the wind is kind of coming down through a tunnel right down this third. It really can pay dividends if you can get the disc upfield. If you can get the disc like up a hill, into the middle of the field, even to the side where the bleachers are on, you can work the disc down so much easier. But instead, you're just trying to blast it down the same third. As we see Origine call a timeout here, we're going to take a break, our last break of this half, and we're going to come right back with the final action here. All right, welcome back to the action here. We have Origine on the doorstep here calling a timeout on the sideline. Marianne Dufour is going to pick up the disc with Lilia Enrique in the bail position. Origine has an opportunity here to go up 11-5 and really kind of put an end to this Nitro run. The Nitro had a hold and a break. Oh, and an immediate rip all the way to the far side of the field, and that's not going to connect. Oh, my goodness. Almost had to eat my words there as a huge bidding Leclerc tried to grab that disc. Ultimately,
so close.
Couldn't come up with it, and Nitro's Emmy Benson collects for the 4th time at this point. And an immediate deep puck. This one's got a lot of pace, too much pace. Targeting Kieran Ferguson, just not there. It's the 2nd time she's struck deep for an unsuccessful throw. Oh, and a whack-away block there. Great try. Taylor Bailey just got her hands on that one and got the block on Leclerc. Bailey immediately picks up, looks upfield. No real options. Stagnant cutter stack. Looking into the backfield now for Benson. Just wants something deep instead. Shovel pass to Benson in the backfield. Benson now looking upfield. There's a target underneath and taken away smartly there. Dufour with the block. And Danny, as we've been talking about a lot today, we've seen them fail both teams failed to get the disc into the center of the field, and it's allowed for relatively easy, just like run through blocks on this open sideline as the defenders are just completely selling out on this open side under. Dufour working the disc up. Now it's La Chasseur with the disc. La Chasseur, little chip upfield to Dufour. Good. That's Leclerc, rather. Leclerc now looking into the backfield instead. Upline. Now goes into the backfield. That's Dufour. Dufour around. It's Enrique. Enrique, low backhand off to La Chasseur. Grabbed with one hand. Right on the doorstep. No real cutting continue options. Instead goes off to the side, and it's double blocked, and there's a collision. Not sure if there's a call in the play or just an injury or both.
It kind of looked like the players on Origin might have defended each other a bit more, and I think that the Nitro player might have just been a casualty of the two of them kind of going to the disc.
Taylor Bailey on the defensive side, who was rushing to try to make that defensive play. It's tough to tell if she was clipped on her ankles.
Yeah.
Her lower body looks like being attended to by the coaches and doctors. May just be a cramp. It's tough to tell at this juncture if they rolled over onto each other. Definitely a heavy collision between the three of them. Not totally sure there was a call at all happening aside from the injury, as players on both teams take a knee or a seat here to give the injured player a chance to sub. Looks like there's going to be subs on both sides, but luckily we're seeing Taylor Bailey jump up and down, get a little skip here, and make sure she's all right. Looks like she's feeling well.
Just looks like she's having a little party.
I'm not totally sure there was a call on that play at all, Danny. I think we're going to find out in just a second. So we thank our tournament photographer, John Hayduke, for stopping in for a photo of the broadcast booth there.
Got our good side.
Yeah. I only have a good side, so it should be fine for me.
The back of your head. He got the front of us, though. Got our smiling faces. We're out here. We're enjoying ourselves, watching some awesome frisbee, the future, if you will. Maybe some of these players will be our teammates. We've continued to play long enough, Kev. We're getting a little long in the tooth, but
Kid only dream.
Here.
Looks like everything's settled, that it is going to be a turnover, no call, and it's going to be Nitro's disc on their goal line as they trail 10-5 against Origin, closing in on the end of this game round. Origin just, at this point, formality just sort of has to close it out, play a few good O holds, and take care of business in this game. Emmy Benson, another floaty huck. This time, no one home except for Leclerc, rather, the Origin defender. And it looks like there's a stall down called. Leclerc there was to gobble that one up. I think it's kind of a combination, Danny, right now. I mean, the Nitro players are clearly gassed in the lane. No one's really providing a good option. That being said, the handlers that pick up Benson, Hovestad, they're also just holding the disc a little too long, frankly, right? They're not actually engaging the bales, but it's kind of a two-pronged problem because there isn't a ton of activity upfield for them to engage either. So this is something that the Nitro coaches, before they move into their consolation rounds here, are going to want to address, right? More provision of cuts, downfield and more opportunities, and the throwers need to engage the bale a little bit earlier.
Yeah, we need to drive with their handlers. As soon as I look upfield and I see my cutters looking tired or looking like they have question marks for eyeballs, I'm like, all right, we got to dink this for a little bit. We got to pass back and forth between the handlers, let the cutters kind of flow off of us. It can be a lot easier.
Little double cut there by Malay Lachachur. And immediately looking upfield, changes to the backhand and finds her target for the goal. And that is likely the dagger, Danny, as they now lead 11-5 in this game. Lachachur, really the workhorse of this Origin offense. She kind of does it all for this team.
Yeah, one thing that I got to coach her last year for U20s, Team Canada, and the thing that impressed me was her athleticism, her skies and her layout blocks, she was a garbage collector. We would throw a huck to somebody, and then we would think it would be a turnover, and then she'd come out of nowhere and catch it with her fingertips, the back of the end zone. Like, she's known for these highlight reel plays. The thing I've been most impressed with her development over the last year has been her throws. We see her on the stat sheet here with 3 assists and 1 goal, And I would have predicted it would have been the other way around. And in the other streamed game I watched of Origines, it was the same thing. She's making really nice kind of like 30, 40-yard passes that have really rounded out her game. Because I think originally, if I'm playing against a player like that, I want to back her. I want her to get the disc under. But now she's turned into a threat both ways. And as I say that, we hear the horn. So that is signifying the end of the game. So after this point, this game will be over, and we will be able to pack up, recover, and bring you some semifinal action in the morning. And we do have word that we believe the semifinal open game we will be streaming will be Vortex versus Manitoba in the morning, and we are TBD on the women's semi, but we can speculate it would likely be Vortex versus Wicked West. Speculation only. Do not
Hometown.
hold that against us.
It looks like I think it's fair to say that the Fraser Valley and the Surrey region is the hometown for Vortex. So kudos to the hometown squad getting both their junior men's and junior women's team into the semifinals. And they're going to be getting played on the stream, and no doubt they'll have a big crowd as well. As we watch the last point in this Nitro Origin game, let's see if Nitro can finish on a high here with this offensive unit. As they move the disc in the backfield, it's Chan. Chan looking upfield. Great stab there by Lauren Fung. She's been all over the field in this game. Fung goes into the backfield to Huang. Huang playing give-go with Chan. Now it's Dai. Stephanie Dai in the middle of the field now. Back out to the sideline. And again back to Dai. Dai looking across field. Trying to hit Chan, but instead just goes give-go on the far side with Huang. Now it's Tulula Chan. Going right up the middle. Nice stab there. Huang with the disc. Huang flips it to Chan. Chan to Huang. Huang playing against sort of a double slough diamond. Hangs it up into traffic, and good defensive pressure there from Origin as they earn a block and then immediately give it back to half field. Just honestly looking to punt it to a streaking receiver there, just trying to get a field position advantage. And instead, it's going to be picked up right away. Now it's in the hands of Caitlin Chan. Caitlin Chan in the middle with the disc. Goes in the backfield to Huang. Kathy Huang with it now. Huang airs it out. Open receiver in the area, but deflected away smartly there. That was Maeva Breton patrolling the deep space. She was split between two receivers potentially and just closed the gap and made the play. And now Breton is going to tap it in and go directly up line to Go Dui. Go Dui, just down the line, and it drifts out of bounds. Had a streaking receiver in Beatrice Nadeau, but it just wasn't meant to be there. The disc is going to be in the hands of Caitlin Chan here, right on the attacking brick. And she looks upfield. Caitlin Chan, nice shot to an under and just missed connection there with Vivian Chan. And an immediate huck. And honestly, Danny, it just sort of seems like Origin is hucking for field position and nothing else at this juncture.
Yeah, it's kind of uncharacteristic. Normally they've been sending it to good matchups one-on-one, but we're seeing a lot of that's an unfortunate drop by Nitro. I was just about to say a lot of patience from this Nitro team, and the opposite from Origin, which is a flip reversal.
Disc in the hands of Eva Mancy. Mancy to Go Dui, and that will do it in this game as Origin spikes one into the cone. That's Maeva Breton, and the celebration ensues as Origin has punched their ticket to the Canadian Ultimate Championship semifinals. This Quebec City squad will join Vortex, Wicked, and Dino as the four semifinalists and have a chance to fight for a medal.
Yeah, so we have Dino 15-3 in their final, Wicked 14-6 in their final, Vortex 11-5 in their final, and Origin 11-5 in this final. So all of all the quarters seem to be the similar storyline, with the exception of Dino Eclipse. So it's going to be a great semis matchup. We're going to be here tomorrow all day, bringing you 2 semis and 2 final games. So get hydrated, get ready to be in the sun, because we're going to be bringing you all of the action.
Thank you so much for tuning in for today's live stream action. Signing off from the Discraft and Be Ultimate live stream, I'm Kevin Underhill here with my colleague in the booth, Danny Proby. Thanks for watching, and see you tomorrow.